either tell us you'll tell it right. An expert, you don't know what an expert is, or an X is a has-been, and a spurt is a small drip. So don't call me an expert.
Life is always fun at our house. Anyway, for those of you who have not heard Dr. Nasr before, you are in for the treat of your life. The first time I heard him was in January of 1981. Gosh, that's a long time ago. And I can tell you exactly where I was sitting at the Red Carpet Inn, because I was utterly enthralled by this handsome young doctor who wasn't even practicing yet. He was still a resident, and he made the relationship between nutrition and health just all fit together. And in all of my experiences as a med tech and graduating from the University of Wisconsin, I have never heard something so complicated sound so easy. So what he is going to do tonight is tell us how we can prevent aging of our brains. My husband did not explain this to you, those of you who have seen the flyer. It is spelled A-G-E-I-N-G. He and I had a battle about it. He said, Joyce, that is how it is spelled. Then we went to a Christmas party with a whole bunch of people from Marquette who were in journalism, and he said, settle a battle in our house. How is aging spelled? And this one young man stood up and said, well, anybody that has ever looked at the Cambridge Dictionary knows that it is spelled A-G-E-I-N-G. So it can be spelled both ways. He was vindicated. But Dr. Nasr is an internist, he is a cardiologist, and he's the smartest person I've ever known, and I am just so grateful that he's my doctor, because I know he has saved my life. Dr. Nasr.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. Can you hear me in the back? This lecture, like Joyce said, we get on the phone usually like we did today outside. We decide what the people calling for, what they want to hear, what the newspaper writing articles about in health. And then my goal in those lectures is to prevent people from going the wrong direction in their life, and they have to get in the right direction. And many people don't understand that it's really very easy to treat all kinds of diseases, and we physicians to make it very difficult, very, very difficult, you know. Just to give you a little example, today we have a one with breast cancer. She's undergoing chemotherapy in some place, you know. And then I just questioned her what kind of chemo you are taking, you know, and then she gave me the name. I told her, you know, one of those kind is the heart. You know, your doctor knows that. Then she said, no, I didn't. He said that, yeah, but he never checked the heart. I said, well, why don't we check it right now? Just a second. You know, we just put you on the machine and check you. I check if she had a heart attack. So the way I approach the person, how do I approach somebody with breast cancer, fear of cancer, and now have a heart attack, and now she needs the chemotherapy? It was a very simple, direct way. I haven't lost a patient to heart disease. This your heart problem is no big deal. Whatever damage happened, we're going to correct it. And she walked out very happy with that. But tell your doctor who's giving you so much chemotherapy that you're hurting my heart, maybe he can slow down hurting your heart. Then I achieved my second goal, which I don't like chemotherapy, so at least I used another weapon to slow her, because I know it's not helping her. It was not helping her. It's not going to help her. I drew her a diagram, a program to follow that almost guaranteed 100% she's going to be cured. And I drew her another diagram. If she follow, she will die. This is my experience in 20 years. People who done it this way all living, people done it that way all died. You know, and some of them are from my own family. So, fortunately, the way I have, this has nothing to do with the lecture. This is just a story. Fortunately, the people who are in doing cancer, they start listening a little bit to my theory of how to treat cancer. Even I'm not oncologist. The problem is I'm not even considered part of as elite as them. But I do have knowledge in biochemistry and nutrition and medicine, and I do have common sense. And if something you're going to take is going to kill you more than help you, then it's bad. If it's going to help you more than kill you, it's good. So that's what chemotherapy lies in. So this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. This lecture about aging of the brain, because we see lots of people, and because we created a problem 30 years ago when I started speaking on nutrition, that people who go on good nutrition, they're going to live longer, and they're going to have better life and all of that. That's what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing the same people I knew 30 years ago still alive, and they're still functioning. So we have a problem is to keep the brain fit and keep it out of stroke range and tumors and MS and Alzheimer and Parkinson, all of that. And then also we have other parts of the body we have to keep healthy. How many people here were in the last lecture in DTX when we talked about the liver? We have only about 20%, 30% of the people. And this was one of the best lectures we gave on the liver. And liver is serious disease. If your liver goes bad, your whole body goes bad. And we talked about it. I don't know if you can get a tape of it from Joyce or not. I don't know if it's available or not, but that's something you should do. And then before that, we talked about how can we use osteokinetic for preventing aging of the bones rather than so many pain medication. How many of you attended that lecture? It's probably the same number, the same people. Okay, it is the same number, the same people again, you know. So hopefully next time when we're going to talk, is you're going to be all here because to your good news is going to be a good lecture about memory and the brain. To the bad news is it's not going to be covered in an hour and a half. There's no way we're going to be able to finish it that. On Saturday, I was lecturing in the Women's Club in Kenosha, and I told them this is the first time, the newspaper put an article, and that was a mistake. Because the whole place was jammed with people, we didn't expect that many. We don't have capacity. Women's Club does not have the capacity to handle so many people. So we have so many people, and I started speaking, and I got really involved. When I talk, I look at people, I get involved with them like we're talking together. And then it becomes like fun for me, you know, that somebody is paying attention, especially tonight, you know, and remembering, especially tonight. Then I said, oh, that's good. Well, usually my lecture 1 hour, 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes question. We started 1:30, and I saw one of my patients was leaving. I said, she never leave my lecture. You know, she always said, then I looked at the watch, it was 4:30. I was talking for 3 hours, and these people, they look all over the age of 80 or something. They are still sitting, you know. And I apologize to everybody about it because I am fasting also. In our month of Ramadan, we fast 30 days, and I haven't broken my fast. I'm supposed to break for 30. But it was enjoyable day that I shared the information, and the newspaper came next day with a big article about it, which I didn't see the article, but I heard that it made big impression in the Kenosha city and in the environment and many things, you know, they're going to start fighting pollution, stuff like that. So tonight, lecture, I put this just to focus and give you an idea. That is the main reason we give them the lecture, and we actually come out with products that help certain things. I would like to use it as a physician, because as a physician, if I don't use, if I'm not going to use something natural, I'm going to use something synthetic. If I have a person with a disease, if I have a person with Alzheimer, if ginkgo doesn't come out, then I'm going to use Aricept. Well, Aricept is cost about $180 a month for Alzheimer patients. Ginkgo is not going to be $180 a month. Ginkgo is better than Aricept. So there is more drugs for Alzheimer. Aricept, it does work, it does help, but $180 a month, how many Alzheimer patients can afford that? Plus heart medicine and arthritis medicine and vitamins and this, you're talking about $800 a month. They can't afford that. So this is why we really have to go with nutrition all the time, because that's the least expensive route. When patients complain to me that this vitamin is too expensive, I just show them how much it costs for a medication for his heart or brain or high blood pressure, how much they sell in the market, $2 a pill, $3 a pill, and some of you pay lots of money taking medications, right? You know how expensive it is, just little medicine for simple anything. It costs lots of money. So the lecture next time, I think we're gonna be, I believe I saw the brochure here earlier, but maybe he took it with him. The lecture next time, sometimes in March. March is when? 19th? 19th. We're going to be covering, it's supposed to be only to cover the mood lifter. That's a new product to replace Zoloft and Prozac. And the second one was the Sopalmetto for women and men. So I want to put that one ahead because that is what I'm going to be talking about. And the GLA for men and women also, we'll be talking about that. And the relation of that to the brain also. Because most of your hormones work on the brain first before they work on the body. So the lecture will be split in 2 lectures. Each one will be hour and a half. Without wasting any time, because we work on a clock right there, so we have to finish in a certain time. I'm going to tell you, I don't have to tell you that memory loss and Parkinson and MS, all the brain diseases, and strokes, and Alzheimer, and dementia when you start forgetting things you used to remember, and the shrinkage of the brain is being accelerated in our society very rapidly. Means lots of people, they look handsome, they look great, they drive in Cadillacs, they drive in nice cars, they live in big houses, but when you ask them the quality of their life, it's not the same like a farmer who living about 100 miles away. They are being affected somehow by something. And to talk about that, to explain that, I'm going to show you how the brain works and what is the main factor. Today we're going to be talking about the main factor that affects the brain. Then in next lecture, what are the secondary factors that affect the brain? Are you following me? The primary problem, then the secondary problems. But don't ever mislead yourself that the secondary problem is less important than the primary problem, because secondary problem can be just as bad. The human body is built from a skeleton that looks like that, as we always start every lecture with. This time, we're going to concentrate on some organs of the body that affect the brain directly. The first one is the bone. The bone makes cells, looks red. The name of it is what? The red blood cells, because their cells are red. What's the main function of red blood cells? They carry oxygen. And oxygen is the main nutrient for the human brain. That's number one. Right or wrong? Number one is oxygen. It's not food. It's oxygen. Because if you have somebody without oxygen for 5 minutes or drowning for so many, you can't bring him back because oxygen was gone. So number one is that. And that comes from the bone, comes from red blood cell, and that's the first one part is being ignored in people who have memory problems. Their problem might not be from the brain. Their problem may be from this type of blood. What kind of blood they have. That blood could be the wrong blood. They might have B12 deficiency. They might have pernicious anemia. They might have anemia. They might have the wrong red blood cells. They might have weak red blood cells. And if those cells don't reach the brain and deliver oxygen, then the brain cells say, well, that's not my fault. Then I'm going to die. And they do die very rapidly. 5 minutes, that's all it takes. You can take a piece of the liver, tissue, or any of the part of your body and preserve. We actually can preserve a liver for 6, 8 hours, 12 hours to do transplant, or a kidney. We can preserve for that much transplant, or the heart, but not the brain. 5 minutes without oxygen, it's gone. It's finished. It doesn't come back again. You understand? However, the word doesn't come back again is not correct, because this month we just discovered that the brain can actually regenerate itself. A person with Alzheimer's can revert back to normal. A person with a stroke can back to normal. There are research this month being discovered that actually areas of the brain completely dead, been taken out from a patient, and the same area from an animal, put in place of that, and after 6 months, the patient was able to walk and talk and play golf, and he was a vegetable at home 6 months later. The patient died in a car accident, fortunately, for us, and unfortunately for his family, but fortunately for us because we learned a lot from his death. When he died from car accident, they dissected the brain, they found the new tissue from the animal, it actually took over, and the human tissue, his own, replaced it, and he had a new brain cell, new brain area, completely brand new. So that gives us big hopes that people with lose memory, it will come back. Memory never gets lost. It's always there, you just have to recall it back. The second problem, this is the first problem I mentioned to you. The second problem, we have to deliver this oxygen through the heart to where? To the brain, correct? So if we don't have a good heart that have good exercise, then there's not going to be enough blood going to the brain. Does it make sense or not? So we need to think about the heart also. Don't ignore the heart in the process, because a weak heart will make a weak brain. A fibrillating heart will make weak brain. A heart that is not very good, it will affect the brain directly. Number 3, the artery that carries the blood. From the heart to the brain, we call them what? The carotid could be clogged. It could be clogged. So this can be blocked, or it could have a spasm in it, as in case of some people have a spasm, like migraine headache patients, and they don't have blockage, but they have a spasm. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here, we call that is number A factor of the brain. It's called circulation oxygen problem. You got that now in your head? Circulation is number 1. Number 2, number B, which we might have time to cover it today, we probably will have time to cover it today, is the nutrients to the brain. Because those brain cells need nutrients. That's true or not? Need sugar. If you're hypoglycemic, you know it. It needs protein. It needs essential fatty acids. It needs vitamins, antioxidants. It needs minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium. Right or wrong? You know all these things already. It needs water. If you get dehydrated, it needs lots of nutrition to work. Especially the brain is like a nuclear reactor. The brain does not, the brain in the daytime is probably burn more energy than the whole body equal. There's more energy burned inside the brain than the whole body, include the liver and heart and everything else. As a matter of fact, the brain, because it works so hard, it produces so much radiation inside, nuclear reactions inside, nuclear reaction actually inside with radiation, its own type of radiation, its own type of electricity, high voltage electricity produces that if you zap it with radiation, nuclear bomb, the whole body will die but the brain stay alive. Because radiation will not bother the brain. It makes its own radiation. This is how it communicates to the rest of the body through electricity. And electricity, a kind of electron transport system, it's a kind of radiation. Electrons is a system. The second part is the nutrients. We talked about that in many lectures, but we repeat it every time. We keep reminding people every time. This is why we have a lecture at memory. We keep repeating it every time for the last 30 years because thanks God clarity came out. Maybe I don't have to repeat it as much anymore. Number C, affects the brain are the hormones. The hormones of the body. The thyroid, the parathyroid, the testosterone, the ovary, the adrenal, all those affect the brain cells. They work with hormones. They can't work without hormones. You take the hormones out, the brain dies. Hormone control the brain, control most of organs, but mostly the brain. That's why the pituitary gland, the mother gland, and the hypothalamus gland sits inside the brain itself. It's not inside the heart, it's not in the liver, it's in the brain. Because it's the brain who benefits and makes the hormone in the same time. And you know how it feels if you have some adrenaline hormone. All of a sudden we give you adrenaline shot. How would you feel when you have so much adrenaline, right? The brain. It's not the body have the energy, it's the brain feeling good when you have so much adrenaline after exercise or so. After exercise, your body is achy, but your brain is clear. Do you notice that or not? The body itself is tired, actually. It's exhausted. But the brain is not exhausted. The brain is laughing and having a good time. So I'm glad, he exercised. I don't care about the rest of the body. Just to keep me well, and I don't care about the bones. And that's what the brain function is. Number D, in the things we talk about affecting the brain, are the things we do to the brain from outside. The chemicals, the toxicity affect the brain. Number E, viruses affect the brain. Number D, other diseases like stroke, aneurysm, high blood pressure, and all of that also affect the brain. We're going to be talking about that in the circulation. So right now we're going to move from here to the brain itself to show you what the brain looks like and how can you rejuvenate that brain. When I say something to you in a lecture, it is not, many things I used to speak 30 years ago was my theories, my ideas, my prediction, because I used to teach biochemistry, I used to teach agronomy. I don't know if you know agronomy means agriculture, food, and all of that. I used to teach herbal medicine, pharmacognosy in Carleton University. That's herbal medicine. So we were much involved in nature. So when I became a medical doctor and I learned diseases, I combined both, then I started predicting things to happen. As a matter of fact, if some of you remember, 1971, in Richland Center, Wisconsin, I don't know anybody was there that day, Benny and Jens is laughing like that. I was arrested that day because I said vitamin E is antioxidant, it can help the body, and the chemicals in the food can hurt us, can cause cancer, and there is some kind of fat in the diet can clog arteries. Before we knew about cholesterol and all of that. That's only 3 things I predicted will happen in the future. It was a big crime. You get arrested, fingerprinted, and all of that. I was laughing all the way with the police. I said, what is the problem? Didn't you listen to the lecture? I said, yeah, I did listen to the lecture, and I'm charging you misleading the public. I said, misleading? About what? Then we sat down in a little room right here and to take my fingerprints. I said, I really don't care because I left Egypt because the communism was taking over the country and I want freedom here. And if I don't get it here, I just go to another country because I don't need to be suppressed in my freedom to speak. You're not going to affect me. I will go. I told them that. I paid a penalty, whatever I said wrong, but I will fight and go and leave the country then. Then he said, oh, well, you told the people vitamin E helps, and we have Dr. So-and-so from Oregon. We talked to him, and he said that's a lie. We said there's something in hormones in milk and chemicals that can hurt people. We have Dr. So-and-so, University of Wisconsin, say that's a lie. And those are more important people than you. You're not an MD, they are MDs. And we have Dr. So-and-so, they say that hormones, all kind of witnesses, big shots, of course. I told them, I really don't care what they say. This, what I'm saying, is scientific information in medical books. I'm repeating to the people, and I have the right to speak. And look at you. I was telling him, look at you, with all the diseases in your hand and ulcers and cancer and all of that. And you should be encouraging somebody like me to speak, not somebody who's talking about alcohol, advertising alcohol and drugs to the people. And he said, well, you be quiet, sort of that. You don't have attorney. I said, I don't need no attorney, He said, you're under arrest. No, you're not under arrest. You have to show in court tomorrow. I said, why? He said, because you have to pay a bond, $25 to show in court tomorrow. I said, I'm not coming to court tomorrow. I have a medical exam in my medical school, so I'm leaving. So if you want to keep me, keep me. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. He said, if you do, we're going to issue warning of your arrest. I said, do that. If you want to do that, do that. I'm just telling you from the beginning, that's what I'm going to do. And then next day, I give a lecture in Philadelphia and Washington, and the same lecture in many places. I didn't know I have FBI agents in every lecture. Listening to this guy who is coming with these ideas that's going to clean the society or turn the people. Anyway, to make a long story short, I had to hire a lawyer, and after about 5 years and lots of expense and all of that, they said, we want you in Wisconsin. I came back and said, the case is dropped. I said, fine. Then when I went to take my citizenship, the judge asked me, have you been arrested? Then I said, yes, I have. He looked in the record. He said, no, you have not. I said, yes, I did. I've been arrested. I got the arrest right here with me today. He said, no, my record shows it's been erased. I said, I don't know how you erase things, but this is what happened. He said, okay, we'll give you citizenship anyway because I have no record. This paper, if we have, you probably found it someplace. And later on, I didn't know human rights and your right to speak and the freedom and all of that because lots of my friends told me they were wrong to suppress you to speak. You have the right to speak. I didn't know that. So I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I spoke all these years, and I'm glad we're all right here because if we improve the brain of people today, and all these people who have brain problem, memory problem, are the citizens of this country or non-citizens, it doesn't matter, who have so much knowledge over the years in their field. And if we can maintain this knowledge and use those people as consultants for the country, we don't have to waste our time looking for new graduates to invent how to solve problems. You can just ask anybody who's retired, they should have a program to hire them as a consultant with a higher salary even, just to overlook the problem of the society, how to solve it. Nobody should be retired with that much knowledge. In the earlier days, we used to kidnap scientists from Germany every place to make nuclear bombs. In 7 years, why now with 65 years we retire these knowledgeable people? Second thing we don't do, right, is the housewives. They raise the children at home. They know so much about how to make a family together, how to connect, how to formulate a family. They should be also involved in teaching society how children should be treated, and it's not done also. We have a bunch of people sitting in the schools and here and there dictating to us how things should be. And everybody worries about all kinds of garbage nonsense, like Clinton. They say, well, he did this and this and this. I don't care what he did in his life. Every sin you do is between you and God. You make a sin, you're going to pay for it. You didn't make a sin, you're not going to pay for it. It's not up to us to uncover everybody's secrets. If I try to uncover every one of your secrets, since you're a teenager, you know very well you don't want anybody to know about your life. But between you and God, and you can ask forgiveness, and you forgive him for it. So I think we have more issues to worry about than bunch of nonsense they do in Washington. I don't like the person personally, but I cannot attack that kind of thing, wasting. We have financial problems, we have pollution problems, we have Medicare problems. The new Medicare bill they're coming out with that scares the hell out of all of us, that Medicare patient, when you're over 65, you have to pay 30% of your bill before you get treated. The insurance or co-insurance will not cover it. who's going to pay that? Then they take your house. So this is the whole idea. These are the things we've been fighting, the American Medical Association, and I'm not member with them, but we've been fighting this bill, and I think we will defeat it, God willing, in next May, and will not go through. We have more important issues to worry about than that. So I don't want you to waste your time about the newspaper articles. We worry about nutrition, we worry about pollution, we worry about our memory problem. And none of the stuff we're going to remember it next month anyway about Clinton, because we'll have memory problem anyway. So it's going to be gone anyway. So let us look at the brain and see what does the brain look like. The human brain, it looks like this. It's made from 3 parts like that, 3 sections. And there are 2 halves. If you look at sideways, there is 1 half and there is another half. We only taken one side right here. You follow me or no? And the human brain specializes in everything we do. It has cells, they sit right here. Outside, you can see I'm putting all the brain cells on the line, only on the line, like here. And I did not put any cells inside, intentionally. Because all your brain, which contained in this skull, which most of the human brain have the same size, by the way, regardless of your size, the human brain have the same size. You have thicker skull, bigger skull, but the brain size stays about the same. Until we grow older, it starts shrinking a little bit. All the brain function in the outside 1/4 of an inch of the brain, and the rest of it is no brain. All the brain, just the layer covering the brain, is what the brain is. So all it takes is a hit in this area right here that damages this area here, and permanently I cannot move, or cannot feel, or I cannot see, or something like that. But if I put a knife and take a piece from here out, I will not lose very much. That is the amazing thing about the brain. The brain is the outside. And the cells, the reason they are outside, look what they're swimming in. They're swimming in fluid around it called what? Synovial fluids. And they get irrigated by blood. They have a lake right here around. We call the lake of blood, circle of Willis. That's like a lake, a big lake, and actually we can hear the waves inside it. If we have a stethoscope very high enough, we can hear tremendous waves inside the brain of blood gushing and rushing and very fast speed, through the whole brain. And from inside, there is also the carotid artery comes like this and distributes the blood from inside also. So the brain have double flow. From the back in the neck, there are 2 arteries to go outside, and from the front to go the inside. So if we block the front, the back supplies. If we block the back, the front supplies. If we block 3, one supplies. They're all connected to each other. This is a miracle of God to protect this organ called the brain. And these cells in front of you, they depend on the blood. And the blood coming with oxygen from red blood cells, the red blood cells, and coming with nutrients, and coming with hormones, and also could be coming with chemicals and other things, anything, cocaine or alcohol, whatever the person taking at the same time. It's not necessarily coming with everything good. There are bad things it can come with. And what I'm trying to point to you that every section you look at is specialized in one thing. The frontal area right here is sensory for pleasure. The smelling of the rose, the enjoying of the scent, the enjoying of the romance, all of this in the frontal section of the brain. right here. Taste, smell, all of the fine movement, fine things that we enjoy, all in the front. And when we have a patient have a stroke in the front, we know he's losing those things, and we have to save this section very rapidly. And they're connected to the eye, they're connected to the nose, they're connected to the tongue, and they're also connected to the skin. The skin. This focused? I guess so. They're connected. All these nerves connected to the body. Next to it, there is those cells right here that they are specialized of sensory sensation, but not romantic or good feeling sensation, dangerous sensation. They specialize of detecting very hot, very cold, wavy, shocky, atmospheric danger, anything that's going to kill you. They specialize of protecting you against death. So they sense everything. When you sleep at night, all your body sensing the environment, sensing the air, the nose smelling everything, the body smelling everything, and they report into this section the condition of oxygen, the condition of everything. And those, once they sense something is wrong, then they notify the body, move to the next side. If one side not getting enough oxygen because you're sleeping too much, it senses sensory, then you move the other way, or you move this way, or you move this way, or you wake up even to go to the washroom, or even you wake up, you cannot sleep because the body senses something is wrong. Like your son didn't come, or your daughter didn't come, or somebody's going to die. That's in the brain, and the brain is worried about it. It can keep you awake all night, worrying about these things, because the sensory is not going to let you sleep. These are the safety factors. And any damage to those things, then you will have numbness, tingling, you lose feelings then. You're supposed to, when you put your hand on a hot plate, you pull it off, because the cells in my hand will tell the brain the temperature is over 120, 130. The temperature, the maximum temperature the body can tolerate, it's about 110 actually, 115, 110. Over that the enzymes start dying. Even you can take a shower in 120, 130, but that's temporary stuff. You do it fast. But if you sit in it for 2 hours, 130 degrees, you will be hyperthermic and you will die from that temperature. So when you are in a hot tub, be careful not to stay in it too long, because your body does not get rid of heat except through the skin. And if the skin accepting all this heat, you might hurt your brain, because the brain can get too hot. The temperature of the brain can get to a very, very high degree if the skin cannot get rid of it. That's why you hear about hyperthermia or heat strokes. Heat strokes occurs on temperature only 107, 108, 110. In this valley, 120. Right? 110 degrees, if you stand on it all day, like for 4 hours, you will have a heat stroke. It's a very high temperature to the body. So these are the section of the brain do that. The other section is behind it, right here, and that's specialized of movement. That is what makes the heart work, that makes the eye open and close, that makes you smile, control the muscles, all movement. And if you lose it, you will have paralysis. If you lose it in the arm, you see some people with strokes, right? If the left side of the brain damage, the right side doesn't work, and the right damage, the left side doesn't work, it's misery, when you cannot feel. And if both of them get cut off, like some people who have accidents and break their neck, then the rest of the body gets paralyzed. And with paralysis, then what the brain can do? We can improve the brain. easier, then we can improve the paralysis in the arms and legs and things like that. Even with people with strokes, we can bring the strength back because we work on it right away harder. The brain is easier actually to work with than that because the brain has lots of cells helping each other all the time. Where the arm have only one nerve to this finger, one nerve to this finger, one nerve to this finger. The brain doesn't work like that. It has millions of nerves helping each other. When one fails, the other comes to it. So if the one for the vision gets sick, the one for the sensation of the leg will take over and help the vision of seeing. That's the miracle of the human body. You heard about the phantom when somebody will cut their leg, they still feel the pain in the feet because that is still the brain does not recognize there is a loss of limb. So it's still sending sensation to the feet to move, but the feet is not there. And this is why we have problem with neuralgia like that. Then this area of the brain right here is for balance. And when it goes bad, you know what balance means. Balance because we stand on 2 feet. Feet are small. And you work against gravity. The earth is moving fast. And the wind, and you have to walk straight. You cannot just walk like this, wobbly like this. You have to. And what does that? The nerves in the ear and all that keep us also in straight. And you know how you feel when you're dizzy. It feels miserable. You know, you feel like you want to vomit. You feel like you want to sleep. It is a very bad feeling. And then we have here the memory section also. So when we lose brain function, what do we lose? We can lose frontal area of pleasures and sexual pleasures and smell pleasure and touch and romance and all of that. We can lose that. And some people don't think that's important. It is important for us as long as we are alive to use that section. Some people can use sensation, and because you don't have it, some other person have it. When you have numbness and tingling and you don't feel your feet, it's a bad feeling. And you have to have it to appreciate it. Hopefully you won't. The motor, if you get paralyzed, you know, it's really, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how many bills you have. The moment you have a stroke, believe me, you don't think about anything except you want to get better. Right or wrong? Just everybody in the world wants to live. That's the way we are built to live and enjoy and worship. So these are the things we have to think about. Then the memory section. How annoying and aggravating it is that you try to remember something you used to remember and you can't remember. Does it bother you or not? And it will get worse. And this is one of the reasons actually that I personally, as a physician, still until now have not used a computer in my work. In my diagnosis, in my thinking, I have never used a calculator in my life. Still until now, I have to calculate, unfortunately, with my original language, still in Arabic, and then translate it to English, because I can't calculate it after 30 years. My daughter's born here and said, when you're going to learn English, I told him it's only 30 years. You know, just to give me another 30 years. You know, so these are the functions of the brain. The nice thing we know about the brain now, 2 years ago, if you asked me in 1996, if I give the lecture, I would have tell you the brain when it's gone for good. 1997, we've discovered the opposite. That the brain rebuild itself, rejuvenate itself, and the brain can go back 30 years, 40 years younger again, and start remembering things that never remembered before. So what does it need? The first thing, like I said, it needs good blood, good nutrition, good hormones, less chemicals, and less infections, viruses that are very bad. And then we have to avoid lots of other things, like we have to do exercise and we have to do lots of things to help the brain. So by putting this here, you know the general topic of both lectures. But today we're going to concentrate on number A and maybe number B. This is the brain right here, and And what goes wrong here is the number one is the food that comes to the brain from the red blood cells. That's number one problem we'll talk about. The blood comes from the bone. The bones, they make inside them red blood cells. And they go out to the lung and picks up what? Oxygen. And they have fantastic affinity to oxygen. Unfortunately, they have also fantastic affinity to carbon monoxide. Also, it is why carbon monoxide poisoning is very dangerous, because it's just equal to oxygen. The lung cannot tell the difference between one and the other. And oxygen can come and go. Like they can receive oxygen, a couple seconds later they deliver to the brain and they let go. When carbon monoxide and gas goes in, but when the hemoglobin tries to let it go, it won't let go because it's connected with double bonds in chemistry, where oxygen is connected with single bond. So the more bondage is connected, like cyanide, for example, cyanide kills right away. And the reason it kills right away is connected with triple bonds. When it goes in, you can't get it out. Then it kills every cell. Unless you're a chemist and you know that the guy who took cyanide, then we have antidote to it, that we can pull it out with something has 4 bonds. We can make him drink something or inject something in the blood, like special chemicals in the blood has 4 bonds that can pull the cyanide out of the cell right away. Or if it is carbon monoxide, we use triple bond stuff. These all in emergency room, doctors know all about how to handle all these things. If the situation, we have the best technology in medicine in this country. Unfortunately, we use it the wrong way. These red blood cells, they look like that. And they have a size of about 98 millimicron maximum, 85 millimicron minimum. We're going to talk a little bit about physics now. This is very important about memory loss and stroke. That's what causes memory loss, what I'm going to talk about right here. The size of the red blood cell is equal to the size of the space between what? Between the cells, right? Maybe we should make bigger cells. This is the brain cells again, right here, and right here. And the distance between this and this, right here, is 98 millimicron. Most of you heard about millimicron. Millimicron is a very tiny measurement. It's much smaller than a millimeter, or 1/1,000,000th of an inch, or something like that. You know, if we want to just give any number so you can pick with me it's very small space. It cannot get bigger, it cannot get smaller. It stays the same size. And the blood will go through here. The red blood cell, when they come, they go through here, and they deliver the oxygen, and they deliver the nutrients the body needs. But in the next lecture, we're going to talk about also they can deliver chemicals and other problems and viruses and things like that, because the blood is a carrier. Whatever it has, it gives and takes. Now, I have found, accidentally, when I started practice, I started practicing in 1976. When I started practice on my own was 1980. By myself, in 1981, I was doing my cardiology fellowship. I had also my office during the same time. And I just, when we do tests, I do what we call nutritional blood tests. You check the hemoglobin, check red blood cells, white blood cells, the kidney, and, you do all the general stuff that most of doctors do. Except I ask the lab for specific information. You have to ask the lab, I want the MCV, I want the MCH, I want MCHC. These are the volumes, the measurements of the cells. A doctor has to tell the lab, I want measurements, because the doctor in the lab will charge $2 more, $3 more for that extra work. You follow me or not? But if you don't tell them, they run it through a computer and you don't get results. Like cholesterol, for example. You can get cholesterol, but if you don't request LDL and HDL, then you don't know if you have good or bad, right? So this is what you request. If we don't, somebody cannot get pregnant, and then we have to check all the female hormones, not just one. We have to give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. This is the way the lab works according to the doctor. And the doctor works according to his knowledge and training. And if he doesn't know, he refers you to somebody else, and the somebody else he doesn't know, he refers to somebody else, and then the circle goes on, and the problem is they have memory loss, all of them, so they don't remember what to order. Because once your brain is fit as a doctor, all you do is give drugs and surgery, drugs and surgery, drugs and surgery, your memories start going away about the role of vitamin C and E and calcium and exercise and all of that, because you don't practice the stuff. Even their lifestyle, if you go to medical society, when I go there, I used to go there, you can see smoking and drinking and all of that, and some of them even take drugs, illegal drugs, because they prescribe it to themselves. And my friends, I tell them, what are you doing? And one of my friends, the doctor, I visited at home, and he used to give his children, 5 years old, 6 years old, beer to teach them how to drink beer, to become men. And he knows in medicine it's wrong. But why doesn't he remember? Because he lost, his memory is dead. He already wrote it off. But it's still there. What I have found out, that the cells of lots of people measures 100 to 112 millimicron. Are you getting the point right here now? If you didn't, we go back to this cell again. Remember, this cell measures only so much. And the space allows so much, like a small alley. It's going to come in, it's going to go out. It cannot sit still. Because if it sits still, there's millions of cells coming behind it. They're going to bombard it and make a blood clot. And cells, they have electricity, static electricity. And if they touch each other, they stick to each other. So what God did, he kept the blood moving at a very high speed all the time. So the moment the blood slows down, or you lay in bed long time, then you start having blood clots in the legs, blood clots in the brain, blood clots in every place, because the body's work, exercise, and movement. So this distance here, this cell comes in like this. What will do to this cell right here and this cell? Nothing. You follow me or no? It did not go through, it didn't deliver what? Oxygen. But also remember, it doesn't only deliver, it picks up chemicals. It picks waste, carbon dioxide, it picks old cells, breaking down, it picks a virus that the body kills, it picks a chemical like lead, aluminum, mercury, arsenic, picks it up, because there is a process of cleaning always goes on inside the cell. Washing, always the cell gets washing, always cleaning itself inside, from inside. So when this cell sits here, the chemicals in the brain start accumulating. And the oxygen to the brain starts going less. And that section of the brain starts dying slowly. That section of the brain that had the chemicals in it started dying slowly. Or this one, or this one, or all of them. Then what will have? The smell gets changed. The taste gets changed. The sexual behavior gets changed. The feeling, the sensation that you detect when you mow in the lawn that it's too hot or too cold, it changes. Your perception is changed of what danger is. And even some kids, they drink alcohol, they go out, and their sensory of danger is not there, they freeze to death. You heard of that, right? Because the cells are dying, or they drugged or something. And the same thing goes through the whole limbic system here, and the memory center starts to change. What happened in the memory? Look, the cell itself dies, that you're not going to remember new stuff. Like if I tell you, this is the new things I want to teach you about algebra, about mathematics, about chemistry, about that, you're not going to learn it. Because the cells are not accepting it. But your old memory, for all your life, they're still alive. Because they get stored in another cell, sits in the middle right here, and they don't die. They don't need oxygen. They don't need, they stay alive all the time. They store things, and they don't need much oxygen. They don't need much circulation. All you have to do is recall the information, and you got it. Like you look at a person and say, I remember you, because you saw him, it went to the center sends it down deep, it matches the cell that the picture of that person is in, it comes out, it comes to the eye, you've seen him before. You might forget the name, but you know you saw the person before. That is the memory, how it works. And you start hitting yourself, gosh, I don't remember. Well, you do have some memory problem, but it's not that bad, really. It can be corrected. So this disease right here is called pernicious anemia. That the blood cells are big. And I'm going to make a statement right here on that video that 99.999% of the patient who came to me with big cells like that from Mayo Clinic and other clinics were told, you're okay, go home. Nothing wrong with you. Even the medical book itself that we all learn from, it says, if the cells are too big, it's going to cause problem. You have to correct it with given vitamin B12 and folic acid. It's ignored. I show it to my patient when they bring their records. I said, bring me your old record. Then I show him in the old record, here's all your problems. You had it from before. Why the doctor didn't tell you? He said, why? I said, I don't know why. But you have it. And it's easy to correct by giving the B12 and folic acid in the form of supplements. And if it doesn't work, in the form of injections. And if it doesn't work, in the form of intravenous. Are we successful? 100%. The bone marrow goes back to normal. Even some people have leukemia, their bone marrow will come back to normal again. So the hope is there. I'm just giving you big hopes right now about all the brain diseases, include multiple sclerosis, because MS is a disease that the sensory nerve right here and the motor nerve, the nerve itself, like that, is covered with sheaths of myelin, and those cells, to communicate with the body, need to protect the canal inside, the message. How many cells does the brain have? I'm going to just ask you this little quiz right now, just to make it harder on you. It has this many cells. 200 billion cells. Every cell connected to what? 200 billion nerves. And each nerve surrounded by a sheath, because if you got two nerves touching each other in the brain, you have seizures. You start shaking like that. You've seen seizures? That's what, when two nerves touch each other. Or Parkinson's, or MS, or any of those. Is a nerve that is not sending the message to the right place. The brain sending the message to your arm to pick up this cup and hold it steady. And rather than you try to pick up the cup, you pick next to it, or you take the spoon and you start shoving it in the wrong place, or you're holding it, but you can't keep it steady, and when you try to, and so on and so. This is our nervous system problems in the nerves. These problems, if we catch it early, are correctable. ALS, PLS, Lou Gehrig's disease, MS, Parkinson, strokes, you name it. We can, carbon monoxide poisoning, drug, cocaine, even cocaine damage. We can reverse it. We can reverse cocaine damage. I don't know, because there's not too many people here were in the lecture I gave. Do you remember the lecture I gave one time on the Harvard medical study that it shows that if you damage the cell itself, DNA, and if you damage the DNA itself, which is the nucleus of the brain itself, means you are permanently gone. Supposedly, the Harvard group say, no, that's not true. That's what we have found out. We have found out when you take enough antioxidants, there are bunch of repair garbage men, repair enzymes, and they cure the problem, and they say right here, also the cure is not perfect, it's 99% perfect. It's in the article that we see right there, which I'm sure you cannot see it. But just to believe me, we had it in one of those lectures just to show, I had it specifically that day just to show the people in this area, I've been lecturing here for so many years, that this information we give is published scientifically in Yale University, Stanford, big schools, but it's hidden. Some of you are nurses, some of you are doctors here. Look at your Annal of Internal Medicine. Look at New England Journal of Medicine. Look at your Journal of Medicine yourself. But look at the last page where it says nutrition, which is the small paragraph. You will see, oh, we discovered this and this and this and this, but there's no comments. But the rest of the magazine, because the drug company paid the ad, they got the full pages, you know, the big detailed articles. But even the doctor magazine, if he reads thoroughly, he will pick that nutrition works. And here the Harvard people told us that. So we cannot give up on the people who have brain problems, and one of the biggest problems we have to correct is correcting the red blood cells. And the red blood cells can be bad for many reasons. The bone marrow itself can be bad for other reasons. Osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. I want to ask you a question. Are we exposed to lead in society or not? Is lead part of our life or not? It is, right? Leaded pipes, leaded gasolines, aluminum foil. We have lead. Is lead a good mineral for us to keep inside our body or no? Lead, we're still exposed to lead. In older homes and here we have lead. So where does the lead go in the body to store? Stays and never leaves. No, not in the brain. The bone. The brain do not keep them very long. The brain tries very hard to clean itself. The brain is very selfish. When it has a chemical, it will send messages to the stomach, the liver, everything. Send me all the antioxidants you have. Send me all the oxygen. This is why when when you get a little bit scary, or somebody take your part of your blood, or you get a little bit dehydrated, you feel oozy and you pass out. You want to pass out. The first thing happens, the brain is the one making you pass out. And it makes you pass out slowly. It tells you pass out, but do it slowly, don't drop. So you never seen somebody pass out and hurt themselves. They pass out, go slowly like this, because the brain is controlling the motion going down to protect itself. Then he's lower and the legs are higher. Then he gets all the blood. Then 5 minutes later you wake up. That is the brain. People who get hit by lightning, and that's a big voltage hitting the heart, stop the heart, right? Even if it stops the heart, when they fall, we don't see any scars on their body or any bruises. It is the tonic action of the brain making that fall slowly until the brain sends electricity back to the heart through the vagus nerve to tell him get back to normal like that. And 90% of the people get hit by lightning will come back by themselves. Some will die, of course. It depends how bad their hearts are. So this here, if the person has lots of chemicals, that's what we find out. In the bone, the blood cells become defective. So we have to chelate that out, do chelation to remove these chemicals out of the body, which we will do on our patients who have high chemical content. We remove them to wash it out of the system. Because the chelation we use EDTA, that it has the 5 bonds or 6 bonds. That it grabs aluminum, mercury, lead, arsenic, all of that, because it's a powerful agent. It grabs things out. As a matter of fact, they use EDTA as a food preservative in the food we eat, right? You read about that. And because it does chelate bacteria. Bacteria, when it goes in, EDTA just grabs it also. It has that kind of antioxidant power. So the first thing we have to do with the brain is have good blood and then move it to the heart with good, in the right way. And the right way is that you have a good heart that pumps blood to the brain. So the second most important cause of memory loss is heart. Sometimes the heart, sometimes the heart fibrillates at night. Sometimes the heart even stops at night when you sleep and you don't know it. And we put heart monitors on patients, and we look for those type of people who have that. Not everyone we put it on, we have it, but we have about 30-40% of people, we see the heart stop for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and we tell that person, look, correct this problem. We might have to correct it with drugs, we might have to correct it with exercise, we might have to correct it with a pacemaker, we might have to correct it with lots of deconvalescent E, but we have to correct it. There's no doubt about it. We cannot leave the heart to keep going to sleep like that. Because the heart pumps the blood to where? To the brain. And not only oxygen and nutrients. But you got to remember also the brain have a drainage system, which is the jugular vein coming out of it. You heard about jugular veins. How big are the jugular veins? They are as big as the carotid arteries. They big, huge thing right there. This is our favorite place to go in case of cardiac arrest. We always go to the jugular because we cannot miss. If you go in the dark, you're going to hit it. And that's what we need when somebody's dying, and we need to reach that jugular so we can put a pacemaker in the heart, or we can do cardiac cath, or we can measure the pressure, or we can even give fluid through it in case of severe burn patients with severe 90% burn, you can't get the arteries, or you cannot get the hands and arms. They already gone and burn, you know. So we have to go to jugular. Jugular is draining the brain. So the heart is number 2. And the heart has to be checked for many things. Number 1, circulation. Does the heart have enough circulation or not? If we make a picture of the heart like this, we find out that the heart receives blood for itself, gets its own blood called the coronary arteries. The heart is full of blood, but the heart does not take blood from its own blood. The heart has to have its own pipes from outside. Are you following me or no? Not because it has blood, it can't take it. It has to have its own specific supply with specific quantity under a specific pressure. It does not need this huge 120/80 blood pressure to go inside and blow up inside the muscle. It has a tiny arteries, it gets blood. Those are made of cells. When those cells, like any cell in the body, now we go back to all the lectures, every cell in the body requires, include the brain cell, require oxygen and protein, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, water, and mineral, and hormones. Every cell, include the brain cell. They all go inside the cell and produce energy, and the energy produces whatever the cell is supposed to make. If that is stomach cell, it has energy to produce enzymes or hydrochloric acid. If this is a brain cell, it has energy to produce electricity. We call it neurotransmitter. You heard about neurotransmitters. They're little chemicals in the nervous system. They travel through these arteries with the veins, with the nerve cells all the time, and the heart will send blood to the brain and the body through 1 million miles of arteries. 1 million miles. The body travels 1 million miles through the body, and it takes that only 3 minutes to go through and come back to the heart again. So when you cut an artery and you see it shooting up, it's because the circulation is going so rapidly. Have you ever, one of you got pregnant, I'm talking to women of course, when you get pregnant, have you ever listened to the placenta circulation in the placenta? The like tidal waves. Like have you heard that? That is current. Actually, if we use special Dopplers to measure the circulation, and if you make it so loud, it's so loud. And thank God that He designed us that we cannot hear our circulation. and because when we hear our circulation, like people who have ringing in the ear, some of you have that, right? And then you can hear your heart. It can keep you awake all night. I worry when I sleep in the wrong position. I can hear boom boom. I start changing my position. I don't want to listen to my heart. You know, what happens if it stops? I start worrying. So the heart pushes the blood like that. We check the heart. The heart has 5 parts. It's got to be checked. We have to check the circulation to it. Where's the heart? Right here. We have to get the circulation to it. We check that with the stress test, not EKG. EKG only tells you if you are alive or dead. It doesn't tell anything else. EKG tells you if the heart's still beating. If it's beating fast, we slow it down, slowly we make it up, but it doesn't tell us the future. What tells us the future if we make the heart run on a treadmill and we see it doing good job, the blood pressure is good, the pulse is good, the oxygen is good, everything is good, that heart is doing a good job. So this has to be checked with a stress test. And if those cells, which is here someplace, if that cell happens to be a heart cell and produce energy and also produce waste, what takes the waste out of the cell? Antioxidants, remember that. Because the waste have a name. We call it free radicals. We call it hydrogen peroxide. We call it poison. We call it oxidant. We can name it any stage. Every 10 years we change the name according to physics, but it has the same, it's a poison, basically. Nowadays we don't call it free radicals. We call them ROS, reactive oxide species. Because we want to publish new papers, we don't want to use the old names. So we can get different grants from those big companies. We tell them, I'm doing research on ROS. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's something really big. You just give us a couple $1 million and we do research for it. It is the same free radicals. And that's how Harvard is so smart in getting millions of dollars of grants to do nutrition research, because they know how to communicate with the big DuPont company to donate money, and those big companies don't know they're hurting themselves by giving the money to Harvard. Because what's going to happen, the people are going to get healthier, and they're not going to pay the drugs that this company make. So they're still blind. Let's not tell them about it. The antioxidant is vitamin what? C, E, and the beta carotene. These are the strongest three antioxidants. We'll talk about that. What happens if that person have deficiency of these? What happens to the chemicals inside the heart cell or the artery or any cell in the body? Start what? Start accumulating, correct? So if you are sitting here right now and your heart rate is 70 per minute and your cardiac output you are sending to your brain, normally you're supposed to be sending about 18 cc per second, or let's say 3 ounces per second to the body, and you're sitting fine with that. Then somebody say we have a fire in this room. Either we heard it, you know the senses of danger now, either we heard it, or we smelled it, or we sensed it by heat. What do we do? The memory sensor had nothing to do with that at all. Remember, memory sensors do not work with danger. The danger works direct. It's involuntary action. Fight or flight. If you're going to see something falling, you're going to do something right away. There's no time for memory. Oh, I remember if I see a car coming that way and that, I remember to turn the other, it doesn't. You just react right away to the danger. That reaction to protect your body. So you run to the door. And the brain sending a message to where to run. To the muscles of the legs, correct? And those muscles are very big muscles. They are the largest muscles, the quadriceps of the legs. They are the biggest muscles of the body. They require more what? To work. Oxygen, more oxygen right away. Then the heart has to pump. It has to go from 70 to 150 right away, within 2 seconds. 70 to 150 and has to pump 400 cc per second to the muscles. This artery is getting clogged, cannot allow that much blood to come in. And the heart itself, cells, they also have deposits inside, aging inside it. So what happened to the elasticity that the artery has? Is it elastic or not elastic? It's not elastic, so it starts breaking. We call that myocardial infarction. Because what's the word infarction mean in Latin? Infarction means break. When you break a glass, infarction of the glass. When you have a stroke, we call it cerebral infarction. When a bone breaks, we call bone infarction. Infarction means broke. So that we have a broken heart, broken blood vessel, we have a heart attack, or we have this or that. And that, if it happens to our friend right here, the brain, then we have infarction in the brain, or we call it stroke. That is one of the problems that occurs with the heart. Back to the heart again. The heart have a blood circulation problem. The heart may not have a circulation problem, but might have weak muscle. The muscle itself is weak. From virus, like cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, or chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, weaken the heart. Or vitamin B deficiency, or too much alcohol, or cocaine, or drugs, whatever can weaken the heart. Do you think that also can affect the heart? The heart will not pump efficiently. The heart can do all of that perfect, but the heart have valves inside. And sometimes the valves get closed or leak. Also, they have to be corrected. The heart works in electricity, has electric activity. What you hear the pulse is electric all the time. And the electricity might not work when you're running. Then you start running, you drop dead. That is what's called sudden death syndrome. That the heart is fine when we're sitting. But you start shoveling the snow, then you drop dead. Or you had a bad dream and you don't wake up alive. Or you went to the doctor and the doctor told you your heart is fine. Your EKG is good, you must be good. But when you went shovel the snow, you were not good. So that's another problem with the heart. Then the heart has to be checked. But also, not only the heart has to be checked. Look at this. What is the heart what's coming out of the heart going to the brain? The big aorta, which is very big. Going to where? To the carotid artery and the hands and legs. And if it doesn't send enough blood to the hands will be cold. If it doesn't send enough blood to the legs will be cold. If it doesn't send enough blood to the brain will be cold. We'll have problems. And that problem can be caused by two factors. Now we are getting to the hour and a half lecture. I just looked at my watch accidentally when I looked at his face. So fine. Then I'm going to finish the lecture with that, and we continue next lecture. This has to be finished with this because this is important related to clarity. That's what we're talking about today. The artery of the heart, the artery coming out of the heart, has cells like that. And have another layer of cells like this. Remember, it's 1 million miles. And has another layer of cells like that. And the first layer, it has muscles going this way. The second layer has muscles going this way. The third layer has muscles going this way. So what the aorta, what the artery is doing, they prepare themselves for very high pressure coming out of the heart. Because the heart, when it pumps at 140 over 80 per minute. 140, 150, 160, 170. You heard these numbers, right? What does this number mean? It's 140 pounds per square inch of pressure. That's how much the pump does. 140 pounds, and look at what put the heart right here. This is the heart right here. When the heart pumps the blood, it shuts off. It has a valve. So there is no way for the pressure to go backward. So the artery got stuck with 140 pounds of pressure. How does it take it? It will have to have elasticity. Then the artery will balloon, like 1/2 inch will balloon like this, and take the pressure. And the artery itself is made of hearts. This is the heart here, it's another heart here, just another heart here. It has the same muscles of the heart. It will constrict and send it to the next segment, until the million miles, until it reaches your hand or your feet, and you feel it. We call it pulse. What is the pulse? Is these things coming out of the heart. Who's the originator? The heart. So when we check the heart, we feel the pulse. And when the pulse is weak, we know the heart, there is something wrong in the pathway, that the pressure. When it's so high, maybe it is high blood pressure we have to worry about. If the pressure here, if this cells right here is closed, let's use a different color like that, the artery is not elastic. It has a disease called sclerosis. Means hardening. Arteriosclerosis. Hardening of the arteries. And we find that in 98% of the people we see over the age of 50. Even the angiogram is not accurate. Because the angiogram does not tell me what's inside the cell. It tells me what's inside the artery. You follow me or no? The angiogram, we used to do it. It doesn't tell you how elastic you are. It tells you if you have a clogged artery or not, by a piece of fat or whatever. But clogged artery with a piece of fat and you bypass it, it's okay for now. How about the million mile of sclerosis? You know what sclerosis means? Hardening, right? What happens if this artery in my stomach and it's hardened in the stomach, and I have constipation, and I have to put pressure on that, or I have a child and I have to push on that, and that artery has to bring lots of blood to help me, what it could develop? Aneurysm. And it opens up and the person can die. So this happens all over the body, and this is one of the biggest problem right here. And that creates less blood going to the brain. Either from the red blood cells that we talked about it, or from weak heart, or from lack of circulation to the carotid artery itself. And we used to use, we still do, antioxidant to help, but we used to use drugs to open up the arteries, like Isordel. It helps open the arteries a little bit, about 5%. It makes it bigger. And Isordel will give you what? Give you headache when you take it, and you can't live on Isordel all your life. Second thing, we use Trental to open, that's herb. But Trental, you have to take 4 times a day, and it costs about, I think it costs about $16 a day. And it opens the arteries by 15%. Then we have right here a tree that been growing on this earth for 300 million years. It's called the ginkgo tree. And the tree lives to 1,000 years. As a matter of fact, it is not unusual in Egypt, it's an old country, to go to the Sahara and you find a tree 10,000 years old. They have it in Discovery Channel. They went and they found the big pine trees used to be before the Ice Age. They're living under the sand. And they're just sticking few pines above the sand for oxygen, but the rest of the tree is living under the sand since 8,000, 10,000 years old. This tree is old tree, and in the extract of it, there is a material. It's a vasodilator. That's what ginkgo is good for. It dilates the blood vessels. It gives more blood to the bone, more blood to the heart, more blood to the brain, more blood to the legs, more blood to the liver, more blood to everywhere. So clarity is not for clear head only. Also is for circulation of the hands, the feet, diabetes, you name it. It's going to help all circulation. Because arteries are arteries. Ginkgo is not good because it has antioxidants. There are some people claim ginkgo is good because it's antioxidant. No. Ginkgo is good because it's a drug. Natural drug. Cheaper and safer than taking drugs and surgery. Because of vasodilator. Does it do antioxidant? Yeah, it has a little bit of antioxidant, but not compared to vitamin E and vitamin C and beta-carotene. So we don't tell people take clarity because it's antioxidant. That's dumb. Because the C and E, you can beat them with an antioxidant. We've taken it because it brings more blood to that. The next question you're going to ask me, for some reason I have a feeling you will do that. So I prepare myself for it. Does it have side effects? And this paper right here says side effects in this area right here. You cannot see it, so let me read it for you from the paper that I have here. It says that ginkgo extracts are considered relatively safe and free of side effects. So there's no danger for anybody to take, including children. But do they need it? We don't know if they need it or not. Before I test the people, we don't just give everything to everybody. We suggest 3 clarity to adults over 50, and we suggest 2 to between 30 to 50, and below 30 maybe we suggest 1, but when we go to children, we really have to be careful because sometimes you think you're doing right and you're doing wrong. Sometimes children don't have arteriosclerosis, don't have hardening of the arteries. When they have a problem, they have other reasons behind the problem. They need to be investigated different than adults. So this is the all we're going to talk about this lecture, and I will give you my phone number. It's 847-356-9009. And if you have any question I have not answered, or you want to make an appointment, we have big waiting list, you can call that number. For people who are in Medicare, we can do all the circulation blood tests, all the heart blood tests at no charge. 100% is still covered. We don't know for how long going to be covered because there is a bill by Hillary Clinton to change Medicare. And as a matter of fact, the president, when he speaks in 1 hour, right now he's going to be talking about that. How we're going to reform Medicare that you people that saved all your life are going to be paying for the younger ones who are coming out, which I consider extremely unfair. And that is something politically you have to be involved in, but nutritionally, I work with you through that. We can do all the tests so far at no charge for over 65. People under 65, usually the insurance cover 80% or 90% or 70%, depending on your policy, because as a cardiologist, once I go through your history, I will find something wrong with you to tell the insurance that he needs a test. There's nobody's perfect. Even me, I am practice what I preach, I still make mistakes. Don't exercise enough, don't take the supplement on time, don't drink on time, don't exercise on time. We all make mistakes. Then I will pay for it. So I will have some problem, then I deserve some tests. I send my wife, we have an insurance company. I just show you, I'm the doctor of that company, by the way, also. and she had a headache, severe headache and migraine. But that time, we didn't talk about migraine in the lecture, but next time we will talk about that. And the headache was so severe, I thought it was aneurysm or tumor or something, because she's a nurse. And I thought maybe there's something wrong in the brain. Let's have an MRI scan. Very rarely we get sick. Very rarely we do anything except routine. $2,500, and the insurance said pre-existing condition to me. We're not going to pay it. And I know the people of the company, they still refuse to pay it. And I had to pay $2,500 for just one brain. It was worth it. It was worth it for her to know that she does not have a brain tumor and she's not going to die. I can see the worry on her face. And that worry alone is worth $1 million to get rid of. So I didn't feel bad I did that. So don't cut it short when it comes to your health. You have to think about your body as number one, and you're not vulnerable, you're not Mr. Super God or something, that nothing will happen to you. We are human, we can get strokes, we can get cancer, we can get heart attacks, and the idea of everybody say, no, I feel fine, what you mean, you want to wait until you're not feeling fine. Well, you might be waiting for something big or something small. So why wait? If your car is low on oil, do you still wait until the light turns red? Or you change the oil? Do the same thing with the brain. The disease is there. Let us uncover it and cure it before it shows on symptoms. I do thank you very much, and you have a good night. The question will be limited to this. Next lecture, before you leave, please, before you leave, the second half of the lecture is going to cover circulation to the brain, migraine, headaches, and we're going to cover tumors of the brain, seizures, dementia, multiple sclerosis, and the new chocolate product, the mood lift. We got Sopalmeto and GLA. We're going to talk about how those help with the same subject. So I think it's the 19th. I need more clarity. Like the 19th of March, but don't have any snowstorms, please, because last 4 years there's been a torture coming here and going back.